Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 60th episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra, and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores, and I'm playing Janina of Clan Bruja.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
And as always, Partners is with us, taking care of tech and chat, for which we are very grateful. Thank you all so much for tuning in for 60th episode of this story. We really appreciate you being here and interested in following it along. So let's do this. Let's jump right in with a recap of what happened last time, because we had a longer break, unfortunately. So just to make sure everyone, including me and players, remember what happened last time, let's summarize. So we started with Janina, who went to speak to Mr. Potocki, a doctor who used to be a ghoul of Bruja primogen Zygmunt. She went there to share the news of Zygmunt's death and to offer her blood to Mr. Potocki. The offer which he accepted, although he was visibly shaken by the news he just heard, and said he would contact Janina when he started feeling the need for vampiric vita. Janina also brought her other ghoul, Hannah, to the hospital to introduce her to Mr. Potocki and show her around so that Hannah might begin to learn to be a research assistant to Janina and start to extract blood for the kindred that Janina can then share with the Camarilla. Hannah wanted to adapt, but was visibly overwhelmed and still wounded, which Mr. Potocki noticed and had a word with Janina about it, saying that Hannah should be resting, not attempting to walk on legs that only recently have been broken. And he offered to spend some time with Hannah, tell her more about the kindred and this existence, and then get a carriage to get her home so that she can get there safely. Janina left Hannah with Mr. Potocki and returned to Hotel Bristol. As she was getting there, she ran into Jagoda, a gangrel and one of the hounds, who was leaving dressed for travel, and mentioned that she was going to find her primogen. She also warned Janina not to get her hopes up about Nastya, Janina's lover, who is now in the Sabbat after betraying Bruja primogen. But Janina dismissed this advice, thinking that Nastya can't be that bad, didn't really want to do this, and sure that she, Janina, can save her. After which Janina went to look for her sire, Daniel, who was outside the room where the prince of the city was speaking to Zygmunt's child, Isidore. Daniel was waiting there with Nina, a toreador and a lover of Isidore, both very anxious, as Isidore several times stormed out of the meeting, angry and shouting, but somewhat soothed by Nina, always returned to continue to speak to the prince. Meanwhile, Bea was searching for her missing sire Felicia, accompanied by Joachim, a Tremere. They walked through the city, following a trail only he could see thanks to the ritual he performed. And finally, the trail led them to the part of the city that has been completely ruined, leveled to the ground, with only a silhouette of a church standing in the middle of a rubble. At which point Joachim said he has lost the trail, and the bear saw that the church was filled with darkness and was itself the darkness. They quickly got out of the place, and after some conversation, Joachim revealed that he did not, in fact, lose the trail, but noticed where it was leading, and that the place was the presumed main haven of the Sabbat in the city. And wanting to get Bear out of there as quickly as possible, said he couldn't find a way, just to make sure she doesn't run there. But Bear didn't show such inclination, at least externally, and disturbed by this news, holding on to faint hope that maybe that's not where the trail ends, but not being very convinced by that possibility as well. She returned with Joachim to Hotel Bristol, where she spoke with another member of her clan, Rahela, who came to speak to Bea about the sense of peace that is about to be shattered, the tension that is gathering around the hotel. But during the conversation, not quite realizing what she was saying, also told Bea not to reach towards the shadows. Later on, Bea and Janina reunited, and finally, Janina could not take holding her secrets any longer and revealed to Bea what happened with Zygmunt and Nastya, sharing her feelings and despair. And following that, Janina went to sleep, thinking of her lover and wondering if Nastya is also thinking of her. And Bea was left to fall asleep full of dread, following all that she's learned that night. And that was where we ended. And we will begin with Janina, who is the first one to wake up, as always. Janina, you wake up with a vague memory of dream where Nastya was calling to you from the darkness, a dream in which you were searching for Bea but couldn't find her, and Nastya's voice was summoning you in the opposite direction.
Okay, I open my eyes and look into the ceiling. Probably thinking about the dream and wondering if it was like a premonition or if it was just my brain trying to make sense of things that are happening lately. And after a while, I'm in the room with Bea, right?
I think you went to your own room, or did you stay in one room?
I think we stayed in the same room because
you might have done. That makes sense.
Okay, in that case, I will look at Bea and watch her sleep for a short moment to figure out if she's having a nightmare or if she's doing okay.
She appears to be sleeping peacefully.
Okay, in that case, I will sit up and just sit on the bed watching her and sometimes looking around the room and thinking about what I'm going to do tonight.
So as you are looking around the room, you notice that there is something on the floor an envelope that has been slipped under the door.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. In that case, I will get up and quickly grab it and check it.
So it is an envelope. It contains a simple note typed on a typewriter, proclaiming that Stanisław Kazimierz Lubomirski summons the Warsaw court to gather at 11 in the banquet hall on the 4th floor.
Okay. That's not as exciting, but all right. In that case, I will go wash my face and like make myself a bit more presentable than I would usually do while I wait for Bea, and I put the envelope next to her bed.
And you start getting ready and getting yourself more presentable. Bea, you wake up, having slept peacefully.
I sit up and look around the room.
You find the envelope that Janina placed on the nightstand, and you find that note.
Okay.
You also hear Janina is in the bathroom.
That's weird.
Or someone's there, you presume it's Janina.
I think I sort of just peek in to see who it is because I'm not sure who's in the room with me at this point in time. So I presume I see Janina.
Yeah, you see Janina. Janina, you hear Bea sitting up.
Sorry, there's a bottle on my chair.
Yes, you can see that.
And I'm caught in a crossfire. Okay, when I see Bea, I smile and I nod at her. Good evening, dear.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, I'm okay, I guess. Have you seen the note that I left? Well, I guess that's where we are headed.
I suppose so.
Well, there is still a bit of time. Like it's at 11, so you have a few hours until then. You would probably know that it's not wise to wander off really far, but you don't have to go straight there as the first thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you need to go feed?
No, I should be all right. Thank you. But I will get ready.
Okay. I guess I'm going to go and feed because I feel okay, but I'm trying to stay on top of my game lately. I don't want to cause any trouble because we really don't need that. So I think I'm going to go feed.
Good. Well, stay safe.
Okay. Well, I will pick you in the Elysium. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay then. I'm sure you will look very pretty.
Thank you. And I'm sure you're perfectly capable of staying out of trouble.
I'm trying my best. And I will try to give Bea a small hug.
Right. Let's make that check.
Difficulty 6.
Okay. I have 2 successes. So
all right then.
Hug it is.
Hug it is. It's a sort of brief moment of sort of surprise and then allow it and wrap my arms around her back briefly.
I let go and I'm going to go outside of the hotel. Somewhere like usual amount of distance.
All right, so you head out of the hotel to feed. What's on your mind, Janina, as you're going there? Do you have any particular feelings about the notes, the things that have been happening, anything new there? Or are you just thinking about Nastya mostly?
Yeah, I think mainly I think about Nastya and about Zygmunt and Hannah. So I think the banquet is maybe just in the back of my mind as something that I have to attend. And I'm like curious, but it's not the main thought or my main interest right now.
And you head out. Meanwhile, Bea, what's on your mind as you are left in the room on your own?
I'm wondering what this meeting's due to be about. I glance at my journal, just see that there's ominous stuff from Rahela. My to-do list also says that I'm looking to contact Cornelia, so I think I'm just refreshing my memory as to what that's about, and that's bringing back some mixed feelings. So I'm just kind of getting my head back up to speed, I suppose.
And you start getting ready. Janina, you head into the city to find someone that you could feed from. I assume you're looking for a person on the street.
Yes.
Then roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 7.
3 successes.
So you are wandering around. You've walked a bit further away from the hotel, so it's not to hunt in its immediate vicinity. You are observing that the streets are now decorated for Christmas, which is just around the corner. The decorations aren't very lush, but people have hung up on the streets what they could. In few places, you see Christmas trees put up in the street or in people's windows. There are people in various places on the streets drinking some sort of form of hot drink that is being sold from a stall there. And as you are wandering around, you notice a man, maybe in his late 30s, finish what he was drinking and wave goodbye to a group that he was with. And they start walking off. And he walks off into one of the side streets and doesn't really appear to be paying much attention to his surroundings. He's whistling a little bit, looking up at some of the decorations someone put up in the window, at the sky. And you can follow him.
I will follow him and I wait. I will look around, and if we are alone, I will pounce on him.
So eventually, you get an opportunity where he walks far enough from where the people have gathered, and you are alone in the street. And just roll your dex, celerity, and stealth with difficulty 6.
5 successes.
How many?
5.
5. Yes, no problem. He doesn't notice you. He appears to be preoccupied with the clouds in the sky, where you pounce on him and bite into his neck. How much do you drink?
Just 2, because I have 7, so that's fine.
All right, so having drank a safe amount, of blood from this man. You move away, lick the wound close.
And I leave him somewhere, like on the stairs or like into the, if there's like entrance to a building, then I will leave him. Or if
Well,
we
you can leave him sort of. The buildings are partly ruined here mostly,
Okay.
but you can leave him in a sort of archway to one
Yeah.
of the courtyards where you would be sheltered at least a little bit from the wind.
Yes, that's what I will do.
And you head back to the hotel?
Yes, I don't have time to go visit Hannah right now, so I will go back to the hotel.
All right. So you start heading back. Meanwhile, Bea, you are getting ready. And when you are basically done, there is a knocking on the door.
I just go and answer it.
So you open the door and you see what you recognize as a face that Roman is usually wearing, a tired man of kind of nondescript age, standing in front of you, and he smiles.
My face lights up when I see him.
Beatrice.
Roman, it's good to see you. Do you want to come in?
Sure, yeah. That's why I'm here after all.
Step back and let him into the room.
He comes and he kind of looks around the room. I wanted to ask how you're doing. You looked like you wanted to talk the other night, but I was in a hurry. My sire wouldn't wait for me and I couldn't lose her.
That's okay. Just things are very tense at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly are.
And I think back to what I was reading in my journal. I made some progress searching for Felicia.
That's what I wanted to ask about, among other things. So she didn't resurface.
She went in the direction of the Sabbat.
Fuck. But do you think they got her?
It looks like I grab my journal and I sort of flick back to the pages. I don't know. I feel like she was planning on going somewhere. I don't.
Surely not to the fucking Sabbat.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm just trying to flick back to my own notes because I haven't actually put like place markers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been far too convenient.
What are you searching for?
Stuff relating to Felicia leaving. I found the poem that she was, the lines that she was obsessing over. I mean, maybe she was taken, but I just have a bad feeling about it, and what I've been seeing. They sort of make a vague, wobbly gesture to imply. I don't know. I've got a bad feeling about this.
I'm sorry. Hey. Well, I don't really have consoling words. I'm sorry. I don't want to bullshit you. Everything will be just fine, you know.
I
Fucking
appreciate-
nonsense.
Well, your company's good. So,
Yeah, a number of people recently went missing, so. Well, I hope you find her.
my primogen's shown up again.
Yeah,
But
sure has. I think, yeah. No
I
one
think-
really expected that.
I think that means something dramatic has happened or is happening.
There certainly is drama around almost all the primogen have been gathering. I don't know much, I know. My sire seems in worse mood than usual.
Roman, just a heads up. Both Rahela and I have been getting ominous feelings. Elysium feels like a sort of protective layer, and we both feel like cracks are forming. And between people and relationships, and we're worried it's going to break soon.
Well, isn't that just fucking wonderful?
Yeah.
Kind of smiles and shakes his head.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the warning that we're headed straight into shit.
Yeah. Of course, none of our omens are ever for anything good, are they?
No, well, I don't know if it's your omens or it kind of looks around everything.
Just the times, yeah.
The times, the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering about Felicia. But if you're saying she went with the Sabbats, well, that's bad, it's fucked up. However, that happened, but it's not, well, it seems different from, well, I don't know.
Who's gone missing?
There was someone else of my clan who was looking for those who, well, who went missing before and haven't heard from him in a few days. Well, I suppose Sabbat could have gotten them too, but we have no way of knowing. How do you know?
You just told me.
No, how do you know what happened with Felicia?
Oh, sorry. Mr. Rafa helped me search.
Right. And he kind of looks to you.
I slightly tilt my head.
Charming young fellow, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, Bear, don't take this the wrong way, but I'd be careful with accepting help from him and his clan. Not saying don't do it, they are skilled, definitely. Fuck knows what they can do, but I don't know. They're just creepy and usually bad news. I'd be happy if I never had to speak to one, if I'm honest. Nah, but I'll have to.
I gave him a slightly. I'm trying to not make it a strained smile, but it's a little bit strained. Well, I'll make a note, I guess. But I needed to know where she'd gone, and I don't remember if he offered or what happened there. I don't recall, but one way or another, he was able to follow her trail.
Just look after yourself.
We followed it to the edge of the wasteland and just saw the church, and then we turned back.
I'm glad you did. And I'm sorry. I know it's difficult. I know you two were close.
I hurt her. I know that I hurt her really badly, and I worry that it's my fault she's left.
He looks more serious now. Oh, Bear, fuck it, I don't know. I have no clue what happened, and
That's fair.
but
Well,
I know these things are painful.
yeah. Well, that's enough of my griping, I suppose.
Hey, I asked.
True. Are you still being kept very busy?
Oh yeah, I need to replace the one who went missing and look for him now, as well as the others.
Whereabouts did he go missing?
Well, I don't know. He was
Well, where was he meant to be?
exploring the city, the tunnels, the streets.
I think as he says the tunnels, there's a sort of bad feeling in my stomach.
There could be, yes.
And I think I'll spend a point of willpower to push through the memories there.
So you do that. And you remember being lost in the tunnels and being scared and following something, you're not sure what, some smell, some feeling. And then you remember your primogen finding you there and leading you out. But that is all that is in your memory.
Okay. That's interesting. Roman, I remember I ended up in the tunnels. I don't remember how I got there, but I was in those tunnels and I was following something, but it wasn't.
You mentioned there was something in the tunnels, but I thought you were just. You were not well at the time, so I thought you were just. You weren't making any sense.
I know that my primogen found me afterwards. I don't remember what was there, but I have a really bad feeling when I think about it. Could I try and use Eyes of Chaos for insight into the tunnels?
You could do, yes.
Okay. What do I roll for this? Oh my god.
Perception and occult. Difficulty 9 for this.
Oh boy. That's spicy. Ooh. I take it insightful is not going to apply here.
Not quite.
Nope, that's fine. In which case I have one success.
One success. So you focus on the tunnels and you focus on this memory. You remember running as the city was shaking under your feet and the bombs were falling. And you see the tunnels shaking from the bombs. You see the whole city shaking from the bombings that level it to the ground. You see the city still standing in many places, being bombed, only just being destroyed. And then you begin feeling a presence emerging into the tunnels. And you smell blood and you feel overwhelming dread. And then you're back with Roman.
Roman, please, whatever you do, avoid those tunnels as best you can. I don't know what's down there, but there's something there, and it gives me a horrible feeling.
He nods his head. Right, well, I know there's something there. I've seen animals speaking of it, but I'll do my best to avoid them.
Thank you, Roman.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. I'm just... And then I just sort of look at him with a sort of warmer smile and just go, I'm just worrying about you.
Probably rightly so, if I'm honest. I'll be careful.
Thank you.
And then he kind of looks briefly scared, briefly something dark goes into his face. And he says, but well, I'm not sure. I need to look for those who went missing and learn more about it. I guess someone does.
Well, if you need someone to go with you.
No, don't even think about it.
No, so it's only fine if you're getting into trouble.
It's my job to get into that kind of trouble. From what you told me, without any details, you have plenty of your own.
I know, but just...
I'll be careful. And hey, I'll be careful, and if I need help, I'll come knocking.
Thank you.
You can also reach out, you know.
You're... And I sort of glance at my notes. You're still at the church?
Yeah, I'm usually there, or, well, when I'm not wandering the city, I suppose. I'll be there or here.
And it's okay for us to bother you there?
I'll talk to my sire.
I just don't want to get you into trouble.
Fine, I'm in trouble every other day as it is.
More trouble then.
Speaking of, I should probably go. But take care of yourself.
Will I see you at the... And I hold up the envelope.
Sure. Can't fucking wait.
Yeah.
Well, perception and empathy.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
Hidden pain or insightful apply here?
Insightful.
Okay, then 5 successes.
Then you see that as he says, I can't wait, there is something deeper that he's trying to play it off as just some boring Camarilla events. But there is some concern. It's not necessarily that he knows what is happening, but he definitely has his thoughts and is tense because of that and is wondering where things are heading. But he seems to want to avoid that right now.
Okay. In which case I won't poke it further. Well.
I'll see you there.
I'll see you there. You stay out of trouble, I'll stay out of trouble.
Let's do our best.
Agreed.
And he leaves. How are you feeling after this conversation?
Worried? Concerned about whatever's down there, about Roman potentially getting hurt, worried about this meeting. But then I sort of glance at my to-do list and see I still need to speak to Cornelia, so I kind of just sort of put it in a mental box, I guess, and head out to... I guess I'll go speak to Mariusz and ask if he knows whether she's in the building or not.
All right, so you start heading down into the hotel lobby. Meanwhile, Janina, you return to Hotel Bristol.
Okay.
You step into the lobby, you see there is now quite a crowd in the cafe. It is functioning again. People are just gathering for dinner. Some music is playing.
I think I will go to the Elysium. How many hours do I have left before the event?
You still have some time, like easily 2 hours. You can still have some conversations if you would like.
Okay.
You can go and wait at the Elysium as well.
I will probably go see if Daniel or someone else who I'm, maybe Diana or Dominic, someone I like to talk to.
So you start heading towards the Elysium. And as you walk in, you see that there aren't very many people there. But you do see Diana out of the people you're looking for. You see a couple of people you don't recognize. Diana, you do. Stefania, you do. But it is pretty empty right now.
Are Diana and Stefania talking to each other?
No.
Okay.
Stefania is just sitting there. She is looking at a book, an album, photo album she has in her hands, kind of not really paying that much attention to it, but glancing at it casually, then glancing around the room.
Okay. And what's Diana doing?
Diana is sitting on her own, and she doesn't really appear to be doing anything. She has her violin case next to her. She is slightly tapping her fingers on it. And she's playing with a pearl necklace that she is wearing, kind of nervously. And then she notices you as you enter, and she smiles.
I smile back and I slowly start walking towards her.
She stands up, picks up her case, comes up to you.
Hey, can I sit with you?
Of course.
Good. And I take a seat next to her. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Are you sure?
Roll perception and empathy.
Okay. What's the difficulty?
6.
I have no successes.
You don't really see much on her face, but when you say you seem nervous, she says, yes, I'm... She kind of looks around and she leans in a bit closely. We spoke about this earlier. You know, I'm worried about...
I know you worry about him and he's worrying about you.
Well, I'll be all right. I'm not so sure about him. Do you want to go walk around, maybe?
Yeah,
we don't have to be here for a while.
Yes, of
Let's
course.
stretch our legs.
Of course. And I stand up and follow her wherever she's leading me.
She doesn't appear to be leading you anywhere in particular. She kind of leads you out and then just starts wandering corridors with you, having a conversation as you walk. And as you step out of the Elysium, she looks to you and says, as I said, I'm not sure if he will be okay. He doesn't speak about it.
I know.
He seems preoccupied. I know my sire is worried.
Well, I worry about him too, but you have to be there for him, and hopefully he will open up and gets over what happened. He's a strong guy. He'll manage. I know it.
What impression did you get of him when you spoke to him?
That whatever happened in there really took a toll on him, but I think mentally more than physically. He seems very distant, but he's still him. It's just, I guess, maybe he feels wrong about his appearance returning back to normal slowly, because he got a taste of looking normal again, and that can be easy.
Yes, I think that's definitely a big part of it. He doesn't really, want to talk about. He doesn't want to talk about it either. He just,
No.
It's difficult to persuade him to step out of the room.
I'm sure he will get better. We just have to be there for him and making sure that he knows that he's never going to be alone and that we are there for him no matter what.
Maybe you could also visit him.
I know.
You found him there, and I always feel like I'm intruding a little bit.
I will visit him after the event. I guess he's not going to be a part of it.
Oh no, he will.
Well,
I think my sire will make sure of that. We can't really not be there. It's, whatever is happening, it's going to be important.
Okay, then I will see him there, and maybe I can walk him back to his room and have a chat again. And what about you? What else is troubling you beside Dominic? Something happening in your personal life?
My personal life. She almost looks kind of surprised. She stops in her tracks for a moment. And then gathers herself and continues. No, with your charisma and persuasion of difficulty 7 to see how inviting you are for her to open up.
Okay, 3 successes.
3 successes. So she looks to you and she continues, ever since I got hired and you and Beatrice helped me, I've been feeling I need to get stronger and better at survival. I I am all right. I just need to focus and practice.
Okay, that's understandable, and I'm sure you're doing all you can to improve.
I am.
Just don't let the fear and the need to become better consume you.
I'm not afraid as such. I just want to do something.
I
I
understand.
don't like being left behind and protected.
I understand, but I'm glad we were able to help you.
I'm glad you were. But
I'm sure next time you will be able to protect yourself.
or others. Or
Or
do something
others.
more than stay
You will.
here. And you can't read much of her face, but you see that she is very determined as she speaks, very focused on what she is saying. Well,
You can always talk to me. I know I'm not really someone who can help you get stronger or better, but I'm here for you if you ever need to talk.
thank you, Janina. And take care of yourself.
I will. And I will check on Dominic after the banquet.
Thank you.
I guess let's go back.
Let's. And she starts leading you back towards the Elysium. And I think we will take a bit earlier break now for about 15-20 minutes. But we will be back after that. So please stay with us. Sorry for a slight change to schedule again, but we will be back on air hopefully very soon. Thank you so much and see you in about 15 minutes.
See you.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We apologize for a slightly different break to game schedule than normal, but we are back now and ready to continue the story. And we will start with Bea. Bea, so you are heading down to speak with Mariusz, and he makes a call to ask if Cornelia is available to at the hotel. And then he comes back and he says, yes, she's here. I was actually told she was hoping to speak with you and was planning to look for you shortly. And he gives you a room where you can find her, which is one of the office's rooms.
Okay. I thank him politely and then head in that direction.
So you head there, you get into the corridors where some of the kindred have their offices, and you knock at the door, and Cornelia is sitting inside. She invites you in. You see she is dressed very elegantly, wearing a black skirt and black suit jacket over a white shirt. Her hair is pinned up. And she gives you a smile as you enter.
Good evening.
Miss Wozniak, good evening.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. I was just about to find you when I got informed that you were looking for me. Quite a fortunate coincidence.
Impeccable timing, what can I say? I was both looking to speak to you about a matter and also give you a report.
Well, I'm sure you will be able to do that a bit later.
Right.
Right now, the primogen would like to speak with you.
Very well.
But of course, you can tell me all the details and whatever you need to ask after that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And she kind of pauses for a moment, or later tonight.
Thank you. See how much time there is.
She smiles and nods with perception and empathy.
I have memories of this not going so well last time I tried this, so let's find out how it goes this time.
Difficulty 6.
Oh my god.
Is it good, oh my god, or bad, oh my god?
It depends. Is this a 1 or a 7? That's a 1. Wonderful. That is 1 success. I'm not doing great on reading her.
You don't really see that much. You get a sense she didn't feel super well either. You get a sense she is preoccupied with something.
Okay.
But it's not like she doesn't want to be here present with you or talk to you, but her mind there's clearly a lot of things on her mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, please follow me.
Of course.
And she starts leading you along the corridor to speak to Mr. Lubomirski, the Ventrue primogen, who has called the court for tonight. What are you thinking about? How are you feeling?
I guess I'm glad I'm going to be seeing him. I like interacting with him. I'm curious whether I'm to just give my report directly to him or if this is about something different. I guess I'm still a bit nervous about this upcoming court session, but there's not really much I can do about that until we get there, so I'm sort of not focusing on it right now.
And you continue along the corridor, and Cornelia lets you into the office, where, as you enter, you see Mr. Lubomirski standing, looking out the window over the ruined city as you enter, and then turning to greet you as you step in. He is wearing a light grey 3-piece suit, and he has a pocket square displaying a red coat of arms, decorating his suit as well. He gives you a gentle, inviting smile. Miss Wozniak, please sit down. And
Thank you, sir.
Gestures to one of the chairs. He sits in a chair opposite from you.
After sort of bowing my head politely, I will also sit.
See that Cornelia has closed the door and she went to take care of something, clearly leaving you with the primogen.
And I'll sit down across from him.
Mr. Lubomirski says, how are you doing, Miss Wozniak? I know that you were to visit a Sabbat event recently. I wanted to ask you how it went. Did you feel you were in danger at any point?
I will spend that point of willpower to remember, because currently I don't. And sort of grimace slightly as I recall it. By Sabbat standards, I didn't feel that my life was in danger.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I'm sort of trying to balance the emotions that have sort of come back to me whilst I've recovered the memories, because a lot happened there. But I'm trying to keep my composure and maintain a sort of professional appearance.
Roll your self-control and subterfuge.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
Oh boy. Five successes.
5 successes. You maintain pretty good composure. And Mr. Lubomirski nods his head.
And I will relay to him the events that occurred. I'm not mentioning.
So
that,
I start
yes,
relaying all the events.
Okay.
Before you even get to
Okay.
very far into what happened.
Okay.
He raises his hands.
I stop.
Ms. Wozniak, I, of course, appreciate the information, and you can give your full report to Cornelia. I trust
Of course.
to convey whatever is necessary to me. I wanted to ask your assessment of whether you feel you are reasonably safe progressing on this course of action. Have you alarmed them in some way? Do you think they suspect you?
I don't believe so, sir. However, I think the only way that I'm going to actually gain proper trust with them would be if I were to deliver Arik to them.
He nods his head.
I think that they are desperate enough to get him back that would be enough of a step. And without going into too much detail, I'll sort of mention the sort of interaction that I had with Gravedigger, and a couple others. I'll mention that there was some people that were wary of. There was definitely at least one woman that was waiting to see whether I sort of messed up during it, but ultimately I didn't spot anyone that seemed genuinely distrustful to an alarming extent.
Perception and empathy.
Okay.
On Mr. Lubomirski.
Okay. So I was just failing maths there.
Happens to us all.
3 successes.
You can't read through his expression, but he listens clearly to what you're saying, and nods head like to himself when you mention Arik, when you mention Gravedigger.
And I generally try and keep it short and to the point because I get that he is a busy man.
And he says, is there anything else you want to add first?
I just sort of finish with, that's my assessment, sir.
Thank you for that, Ms. Wozniak.
Of course. Is there anything further I can do?
Just remember, what you're looking for is an opportunity, something we could use. You do not necessarily need to gain their complete trust, only so much to find something we can use. But perhaps what you mentioned could offer a way for us.
I pause for a moment and then say, I'm willing to do whatever is necessary, sir.
He smiles at you. I want you to know that Your help in this endeavor is appreciated, and it won't be forgotten. But soon, there won't be need for such risky undertakings. I will remember, however, your willingness to take risks for the Camarilla. And then he smiles more brightly at you. I think you have a bright future ahead of you, Miss Wozniak.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anything you require? Anything I can do for you?
Sorry, I'm just thinking of how to word this. I was wondering if I'm not sure if this is within the remit, sir, but just in case things get more dangerous, I'm wondering if you could advise if there's anyone who could help train me to be a little bit better at defense and attack. These are dangerous times.
He nods his head. I'll look for someone who would be appropriate.
Thank you, sir. I understand that everyone's quite busy at the moment, so.
I'm sure we can work out a solution.
Yes, sir.
He smiles.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Miss Wozniak.
Of course. And let me know if there's anything further I can do.
I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, sir.
When times are, well, less turbulent and don't call for such desperate actions.
Understood, sir. And I will smile politely at him. And I presume that's a dismissal.
Yes.
In which case I will stand up, give him another polite bow, and then see myself out.
He smiles at you, nods at you as you're leaving. And then you just see him in the corner of your eye, standing up again from the chair.
Okay.
How do you feel as you leave? What's on your mind?
Glad to have been acknowledged. Glad that the work that I've done is not for naught. I'm a little uncertain how to process what he says about how we won't need such reckless actions at the moment, because I've just had this sort of feeling of dread for so long that I find it a little hard to believe that. But I don't see any trace of dishonesty in him. I don't really see very much. So I guess I almost take that with a bit of a grain of salt. But I'm also now sort of grappling with the grief involving that man who was killed and embraced, and it was my fault. I'm dealing with the sort of leftover trauma of what I saw and experienced. So a bit mixed, I think.
And where are you heading with those mixed feelings and thoughts?
How much time do I have before the
Still a little bit, but like you can go search for someone still. I wouldn't go wandering around the city.
No, that's fine. I was more wondering whether I'd have time to speak to Cornelia before.
You can go look for Cornelia, absolutely.
Okay. Just head back to her office.
So you head back to speak to Cornelia. And meanwhile, Janina, you head back to the Elysium with Diana.
look around and look for Bea.
Bear isn't there at the
In
moment.
that case, unless there's Daniel, I will probably go back to my room.
Daniel isn't there. You can go back to your room, of course.
I'll go to my room to just sit there alone for a bit because I'm not like Bea, I don't like to sit in front of people not talking to anyone. So I prefer to be alone. So I'm going to go to my room and sit and gather my thoughts.
And what are you thinking about? What thoughts are you gathering?
I think right now I'm gathering the rest of my night plan, that I'm wondering how long will the banquet take, and if I will have time for visiting Hannah and talking with her, maybe offering her more blood to heal her. And to talk to Dominic after the banquet ends. That's probably my plans, and I'm wondering if I will be able to fulfill both of them. And then after I thought about all of this, I will probably just sit and think about Nastya and trying to think and remember our memories together and wonder how she's doing, if she's okay.
Is there some do you just ignore the fact she's with the Sabbat in your thoughts?
No,
Or does it creep in, and do you
this
wonder
creeps
about
in,
that?
but it like fills me with worry for her. I have no doubts for like in her love for me and that she cares about me. It's more like that I worry about her and how they are treating her and if she's okay. And I wonder if I will be able to ever speak with her again.
And you're
So
sitting.
that's probably, sorry.
You're sitting on your own with those thoughts, alone in your room.
Yes.
Meanwhile, there. You go back to Cornelia's office. She has just been on the phone to somebody when you entered, but she puts down the phone and invites you in. Miss Wozniak.
Good to see you again.
Indeed. Please sit down.
Thank you.
She kind of looks at her watch. I'm afraid I only have a few moments. I have to go speak to a couple of members of my clan.
Of course.
But what can I do for you?
Just before I forget, well, if I'd be able to give you sort of a full report sort of later in the evening, if you've got time, that would be useful. If not, another time will be fine. But there was something hopefully quick I wanted to speak to you about. My clanmate Rahela has expressed a willingness and eagerness, I would say, to be involved in work. And I believe that she is sensible and practical enough that she could be of assistance if necessary. So I just wanted to express that if there was work going around, she is available and very willing.
She looks kind of surprised at first, and then kind of nods her head. And you think she's ready for such work. She is still very young. And I don't mean young for a kindred.
I sort of look at her. Rahela is wise beyond what you might see outwardly. I think many people see her outer shell and she is serious, she is intelligent, and I think that she is mature enough to be able to work effectively.
You see certain hesitation. You couldn't really read her that well, but
That's
you
fair.
see there's definitely something that almost worries her. There's some concern there. She nods her head. Well, I always appreciate your opinion, Miss Wozniak.
Of course.
So, if you think she is mature enough, but you know that she is very young, even if you do not consider her body, she would still be very young among the mortals.
Yes.
I will consider it. See if we have something appropriate. It's encouraging that she wants to be involved.
Yes.
And she hesitates, but then kind of looks to you and continues, I wouldn't want her willingness to be abused by someone who does not care for her lack of experience and perhaps better judgment.
I understand, and I appreciate that. And there's that actually reassures me a bit.
And she nods her head. Well, hopefully we can ease her into it.
Of course.
Is there anything else? You can give me the highlights of what happened, the most important points.
Okay, and I will attempt to do that then, based off of what I recalled earlier. I guess sort of who I saw there, the sort of general appearance and demeanor of those that I don't recognize. Anything that was said that felt defining, I suppose. I don't get into how I was doing emotionally, and I don't really discuss the husband situation. But I will mention again what I said to Zygmunt about that I think that trust would be cemented by this particular action, but they don't seem strongly distrustful of me, more so than one would expect. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I would add. Off the top of my head, I can't quite recall because it has been a while.
Well, I'm gonna assume that you relay, the most important points of that, but not your personal ones.
As is traditional for me.
Yes. And she listens. She nods her head. She glances at her watch.
Okay.
One more time. When you're wrapping up, she says, "Thank you, Ms. Woźniak.
Of course.
I am afraid I have to run, but
I understand.
kind of pauses and then gives you a smile. I hope we can soon pull a conclusion we want from it, move to action, and remove you from danger."
That would be good.
Take care of yourself.
Of course. You too. And I'll excuse myself.
And you leave her, and she leaves with you, but she starts going in a different direction.
Okay.
And where are you headed?
Probably Elysium at this point, since it's sort of getting close and...
It's getting close-ish, yeah.
Yeah, and I like people watching, so...
So you get to Elysium. Janina, do you stay in your room until it is time to head up, or do you attempt to search for Bea at some point? Or someone else? You're on mute.
That's fine. I will probably wait about like 30 minutes before the banquet start, and then I will go to Elysium to have a chance
it's in the
to catch
banquet
up.
hall. It's not quite the banquet, but it's in the banquet hall,
Yeah.
which is the room where you had the big announcements, where you were introduced to the prince, which is floor up from the Elysium.
In that case, I will go to the Elysium about like 30 minutes before the event.
All right. Anything you wish to do in the meantime?
No, just thinking.
All right. So, Bea, as you are people watching, you notice that there aren't that many people in at the moment. You see Nina there, you see Diana is there, but then she gets up and leaves at a certain point, carrying her violin case. So you see Stefania, and Nina enters and comes up to Stefania.
Okay.
They exchange words briefly, and then Nina leaves, looking a bit tense but focused.
Okay.
You see a woman who, to a regular eye, appears to be very nondescript, blonde woman, dress in a simple but elegant navy blue dress, but you see that she's of clan Nosferatu. You can recognize that. And it is pretty empty at the Elysium. But if you sit there for a while, you see Janina come in.
Hey.
Hello again.
Hi. How was your evening?
Fine. Just doing the rounds.
Yes, same. I just went to feed, and then I glance around and I see that Diana isn't there anymore, so just say that I spoke with Diana for a bit here, and then I went to my room. And now I'm back here.
Should we start heading up shortly? I don't know if it's better to be early.
I guess it's better to be early than late.
Suppose so. I'm sure some people can afford to be fashionably late. Not sure that we're those people.
Yeah, I know. And I look towards the three others, even if Mikhail isn't there.
He's not there. It's just.
But I still glance there. Okay, let's go then. Maybe we can fancy some good seats.
And you head up. Anything you wish to talk about on the way, as you're not among other kindred?
I think I'm pretty quiet unless spoken to. I'm just a bit nervous about the
I probably
announcement.
just say that my feeding went okay. And that's probably like the small talk that we are having.
So you
Okay.
small talk about that, and you head up, and you arrive at the room where you were a few times before. The room decorated in red and gold ornaments on the walls, with 8 chairs for Prince and the primogen. At the other end of the room, underneath an old painting depicting a battle scene. And you see that more people are here at the moment. As you enter, Bea, you see that your primogen in Sertum is already sitting in their seat. They are currently looking, as they did last time you saw them, as a 60-year-old man in a black, cheap-looking suit with visible patches, signs of having been sewn back and repaired. And they smile at you and wink as you enter, but then look back at the painting, seemingly disinterested in what's going on in the room.
I think I smiled back at them briefly.
You also see that Lucian Topolsky, the former sheriff, is already there, dressed very elegantly in light blue suit. And Dominic is with him, and he, to you, Janina, is looking like his handsome self that you saw when you left the Zimishi house with him. But you, Bea, can see that this is a mask. And underneath it, he's not fully back to looking how he's sort of in between what he might look, you don't remember exactly, as a Nosferatu, but he seems to be meet some sort of transformation. He has lost a lot of his hair. You see that his skin looks kind of dry, and veins start protruding from it in places, but then other parts of his face are still untouched by this.
I think when I see that he's sort of wearing his old face over his form changing, I think that makes me feel sad in a way I don't normally feel when I look at Nosferatu. Because generally speaking, like when I interact with Roman, even if I can see through his disguise, like I see him as Roman, and I've never really talked to him that much about how appearances affected him or anything, but I don't know, it's just, I mean, I recognize that he doesn't exactly look attractive, but I don't know, he's Roman, and so to me there's always that sort of feeling of like affection when I see him. And I feel like I don't really have like much of an opinion on it outside of that, but for some reason when I see Dominic, even though I can't really remember why, I just feel this sort of feeling of sadness.
You see Bea look at Dominic for, well, not staring, but for a slightly longer moment. And if it's you have looking at him,
I worry about him. I think that's my main thought, that I hope he will get back to his old self mentally. And that's probably what I'm thinking about. I don't think I think about anything else or wonder about Bea's long stare. She stares, I'm used to it.
Not always the most polite.
And you see that Diana is now with them, standing on the other side of her sire, Lucian. You see that Isidore is there, wearing a white shirt, and Nina is next to him, in a little black dress, wearing some green jewelry, and she's holding his arm and whispering something in his ear, and he's looking kind of tense, but nodding his head and then staring just ahead at the wall. You see Rahela with Eliza. You see Rahela observing who is in the room, observing her surroundings. She gives you both a smile as she notices you. But then, every so often, her eyes return to Eliza, who is holding her hand. And she's dressed very elegantly in a black suit. And she's holding Rahela's hand and reaching out, bringing her closer from time to time. But her eyes are wandering towards Joachim, who is sitting at one of the tables that have been placed here, together with Magdalena, another Tremere, and Conrad, the Toreador, who has been accompanying them. And Magdalena and Conrad are holding hands, glancing up, but mostly focused on each other. And Joachim is smiling at Eliza, but she's just looking at him with determined expression, and there's no smile on her face.
Oh, good.
You see Roman is there with a Nosferatu woman who wandered past Elysium earlier, Bea. And they're both also wearing their faces that they were using their discipline of obfuscate. You see Anna Maria looking stunning as always, dressed in a black, fully covering dress with just a gold crucifix, a small one, around her neck. And she is joined, just this moment, by Stefania, who has just come upstairs as well. And Anna Maria turns to her with a greeting, and they exchange smiles. But you see that Anna Maria has been looking, and again continues to look towards a man you've seen around but never really spoke to, a tall blonde man in elegant dark blue suit, who is standing near the group that is joined by Cornelia and consists of people who appear to be members of Clan Ventrue, but you're not entirely sure if he is with them or just very close to them. There doesn't appear to be much interaction between them.
Okay.
And that's who is there at this moment.
I think I will head over towards Rahela and just sort of briefly lean in and just let her know that I spoke to Cornelia.
She nods her head to say, thank you.
Of course. I give her a small smile. But if it looks as though she's just wanting to be quiet and...
Full perception and empathy.
Okay, let's find out how I'm doing on that. It's been a bit mixed this evening. Oh my god. Does insightful apply? Yeah. Okay. In which case 2, 4. After the 1, that would be 3 successes.
2 successes, but just enough.
Okay.
So you see that it's not necessarily that she doesn't want to speak to you, but she's rather preoccupied and clearly with anticipation for whatever is going to happen, and maybe doesn't really want to talk more in the surroundings.
That's fine.
Between all the people.
That's
So she thanks you and gives you a smile,
Mhm.
but you see in her demeanor that she doesn't really feel comfortable to talk
That's
here.
fine. In which case, I'll just kind of like nod to her and sort of step back and head back to Janina.
Janina, do you come up to anyone? Do you
I
take
probably
interest in
look
anyone?
at Roman and smile at him if our eyes meet. And anyone that I interact normally, then I will look at them and smile. Other than that, I'm just waiting for Belle.
Roman gives you a broad smile, just kind of, how are you doing sort of gesture. But he doesn't come up. And then Belle returns.
How are you feeling? Are you nervous? Do you think it's gonna be something bad?
Well, I always think things are going to be bad.
I know. But
What?
I hope you're
Sorry.
not. You're not right this time.
I give her a smile that sort of says, I really don't believe you.
Whereabouts do you head? There's different tables. There's some people sitting. There's people standing near some tables. Do you try to be on your own? Do you want to come up to anybody?
Don't really mind. I guess just whatever table's available. I'm not really.
So you take your seats.
Yeah.
And you wait. You see that people are. There isn't really that much conversation. Sometimes people lean in towards each other, but they don't really talk. The main conversations appear to be Conrad, who is quietly but still audibly, because it is quite silent, telling Magdalena about his practice with sculpture, to which she's nodding her head and she's encouraging. And Stefania and Anna Maria exchange very polite, non-conversation about how they're doing, and what's going on with them, and some things they've read. And Stefania inquires about Anna Maria's painting, and she doesn't really answer, but says it's going really well. But it is definitely tense here. And after some time passes, you see Antoni Bielecki, the sheriff of Warsaw, steps through the door into the room, and he's followed by Daniel, Clemens, the Nosferatu, and Mr. Sarnowski. And I start walking across the room. Daniel looks towards you, gives you a nod, Bea, and then gives a bit of a smile, a bit of worried expression to you, Janina, and just nods his head as well in greeting.
My smile back to him is a little tense.
I smile normally.
He doesn't smile at you, he just nods.
I will smile back at him.
Yeah.
But he smiles at Janina.
Okay.
And then he continues walking with Antoni, and they move to the very front of the room, not quite to the chairs where the primogen would sit, but they take their seats at the table at the front, except Mr. Sarnowski, who doesn't stop with them and continues and takes his seat among the primogen seats. And he and Antoni lock eyes for a moment, and they wait in silence. And a few more moments pass, and the other door, the one closer to the primogen council's chairs, opens, and Mihail steps in, dressed in an impeccable suit with red accessories. And he takes his seat, very leisurely, leaning in. He glances around the room, gives a smile to Stefania and Anna Maria, gives a smile to Nina, who smiles back very faintly. Soon after him, you see a tall, lanky woman enter in loose black trousers and a simple black blazer that you would probably at this point recognize as Wolf, the Nosferatu primogen, whose real face, Bea, you can't see. And she is looking a bit tense, a bit irritated, but she walks up and takes her seat very abruptly. Is there anything on your mind? Anything you want to share with each other?
Just building anxiety.
I just probably try to hold Belle's hand if she lets me.
How am I doing?
Self-control, difficulty
Yeah.
6.
3 successes. I think I tolerate it for a little bit, but I think eventually I'll sort of pull away because I don't really like it long term. But
Okay.
I allow it for a little bit.
I just place my hand and squeeze you, like to tell you everything's going to be fine and just to reassure you. And then I will let go when I start to feel that that was enough. Like a cat.
Yes, the cat is done now. I am trying to look composed as much as possible. I will say I don't necessarily want people to see the inward turmoil, but
Roll your self-control and subterfuge. Difficulty 6.
Yep.
Janina, you can roll your perception and empathy.
Okay.
3.
2.
2. Oh, you see that Bea is looking very composed.
She's composed, but I know that she's not fine because she told me before.
yeah.
You know that. And she tolerates your hand holding her hand for some time. Perhaps taking some comfort in it, perhaps not. And then you hear further footsteps in the corridor from the Primogen's Council side. And then there's a pause, and the footsteps stop. And everyone falls silent at this moment. The odd whispers stop. A door opens, and you see Mr. Lubomirski and Katarzyna Chodkiewicz, the prince of the city, also dressed in an impeccable suit with her hair pinned up very elegantly as always. And they meet in the doorway, and they look at each other. And then Mr. Lubomirski makes a gesture for her to go in first. And she steps into the room, and everyone stands up at this moment. I assume you do as well, unless you wish not to. Janina.
I will at this.
And Katarzyna Chodkiewicz walks up to her chair, and she stands in front of it. And Mr. Lubomirski follows, comes up to the chair on her left side. but she still stands for a moment longer, just lingering for a little bit. And then, finally, after she takes a look over the room, she takes a seat, and people begin to sit as well. The prince begins to speak. Thank you for gathering here on a short notice. Unfortunately, I must open with a tragic news. Zygmunt Ray, the primogen of Clan Bruja, has met final death at the hands of the Sabbat. And she pauses for a moment. And you see Nina holds Isidore closer, holding his arm. Some people begin to whisper. The tension in the room immediately increases. You see Rahela and Eliza leaning towards one another to whisper something. You very faintly hear Roman just mutter, "Fuck."
I probably whispered to Bea, "Oh yeah, that's what I should remember, that this was probably the reason why we were gathered."
I think I just shush her because I'm sort of staring straight at the primogen, and it both surprises me and then also there's a sort of feeling of recognition since we had this discussion last night. But then as Janina starts talking, I'm just kind of like.
So as you're looking at the primogen, do you want to roll the general perception and empathy roll? If you're paying attention to people in the room.
I am very much paying attention to people in the room.
Janina, are you paying attention to
I'm
people?
probably just looking at the prince.
Then roll your perception and empathy as well. Difficulty 6.
I have 1 success.
Does insightful apply here?
Yes.
3, 4, 5. I have 6.
You have 6. All right then. So Janina, to you, the prince looks saddened, but not, very composed, very in control. She's not quite emotionless. There is clearly an expression of sadness as she delivers this news, but you can't really see beyond that. Bea, you do see that she is genuinely grieving for Zygmunt Ray. But you see more, you see irritation that she's holding in and holding back. And you also see a hint of some maybe worry, maybe this, not quite but feeling, but this fear of something slipping away, of something crumbling, something you worked for. This kind of feeling of something you worked for getting away.
Right.
And there is a moment of a pause when everyone processes this news. And then Stanisław Lubomirski, the Ventrue, primogen, starts speaking. We have come upon difficult times. The death of Mr. Ray and the grief for him will not leave us for the years to come. But precisely because the times are so difficult, we need to keep our unity and strength, and thus nominate the new Bruja primogen, so that the seat on the primogen council doesn't remain vacant. And you see few people glancing to Isidore, and he looks to Isidore. And you both see Isidore, who doesn't really look surprised as such, but he looks tense and very tired.
Oh, God.
Stanisław Lubomirski continues. I believe Count Isidore Grabowski is the obvious candidate. I therefore ask the Primogen Council to confirm his nomination. At which the prince nods her head. And the Primogen move to vote, one, by placing their right hand over their hearts, and all, one by one, do so, indicating a vote in favor. How do you feel at this moment, Janina? What's running through your head?
I think Sigmund would be proud, but I feel bad for Isidore because I know he doesn't want any of this. So I'm like torn, but I know there is no one better. So it's obvious choice, so I agree.
How
But I feel
about you?
bad for him.
Yeah. How about you, Bea?
I'm internally going, is there no one more suitable? Not necessarily that I doubt his capabilities, but I doubt his commitment to the Camarilla. I suppose he's probably one of the eldest Bruja here, and probably one of the stronger ones. It feels like a desperate choice to me, and that's not comforting.
The prince says, it is decided then. Count Grabowski, please take your seat among your peers. And she makes a gesture inviting him. You both see Isidore hesitating for a moment. But then he straightens himself and he steps forward and sits on Katarzyna's right hand.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say he's going to sit on Katarzyna's lap.
No. No, he's not doing that.
I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Katarzyna continues. This concludes the business of this court. And then she looks to Mr. Lubomirski. Unless there is another reason you wanted us to gather. And you will see a bit of tension in her at this moment. Almost a hint of challenge in her voice. But increasing worry. This worry you saw earlier. Stanisław Lubomirski stands up and he walks forward a little bit, not quite stepping out from this area where the Primogen sit, but definitely walking to its front. He looks around the room. He catches your eye, Bea, for a moment, but then continues on and looks to other people. And then he looks back at Katarzyna Chodkiewicz and starts speaking. There is, my prince, the extraordinary circumstances that befell us with the death of Mr. Ray warrant a discussion about the future of this city. To this day, Sabbat remains uncontested, to the point that they dared to probe our defenses at the Elysium. Many kindred remain unaccounted for, and others continue to disappear. Their fate is unknown, and Camarilla is unable to protect them. And then he gives a look towards Lucian and Dominic and continues. Meanwhile, our most trusted protectors eschew their duties, acting completely out of control. And even when they are replaced, the choices are guided by loyalty, not by experience. And he looks to Antoni at that. Continuing, the young kindred are pushed into positions of responsibility that they are not ready for. And instead of getting accustomed to this existence and the prospect of eternal life, our neonates are fighting every night for our survival. How do you feel hearing this?
Oh boy. Well, it sounds like this is the breaking of relationships and sort of destabilizing that we've been foreseeing, or at least part of it. I'm somewhere between not that surprised and also a little surprised. It's a bit of an odd sensation. Very tense. It makes sense to me that this is being challenged. But yeah, this is a lot.
And you, Janina, do you have thoughts on what he's saying?
I think I'm confused. Like, I don't understand what's this all about, because to me, I don't understand it. So I'm just like, what's happening? So I just listen to him and trying to make sense of what exactly is going on right now.
So you sit there confused, but you, Bea, Janina, you didn't roll well enough to notice this. But you, Bea, noticed that at this point, as Mr. Lubomirski pauses, Wolf looks angry and she looks like she wants to stand up. But Katarzyna, the prince, just looks to her and slightly gestures at her to stop. And Wolf doesn't do anything. She continues sitting there with visible tension and anger, staring at Mr. Lubomirski. But she doesn't do anything. And you see that Katarzyna is very focused. She's thinking. She's worried. She's irritated. And Mr. Lubomirski continues. The prince's inexperience accounts for many of these tragedies, and lately also for the death of my friend, Mr. Ray. Therefore, I feel it is my duty to contest the praxis of Lady Katarzyna Chodkiewicz and ask the Primogen Council for investiture. With that, he returns to his chair and he sits down.
Drama.
Now, Janina, do you realize what is going on?
Okay, now I think I realize what's going on. And I just probably look at Daniel and Roman and like
You look
bewildered.
at Daniel and Roman. You see that Daniel catches your eye, kind of almost like he's looking to you to check what you're doing, and has been doing that periodically. But you see that he is very focused. He's very tense. He's looking to all the primogen, almost like he's thinking, like he's trying to guess something. And you see that Roman, he's kind of glancing to his sire, Wolf. And he's also, he doesn't look to you at the moment. He's very focused on what is happening and very tense as well.
Then I will look at the rest of the primogen.
And roll your perception and empathy again.
Both us, or?
No, I have your roll.
Okay,
already.
that's fine. Sorry, I just
So-
wasn't sure if it was a fresh
2
roll or
sevens,
not.
so I guess 2 successes.
2 successes. So with 2 successes, you can see that Wolf is angry. And there is anger and offense when she looks at Mr. Lubomirski. And you also see that Isidore is just really tense, but he's listening. And that is more or less what you see. But as you look around the room, you also notice Antoni looking very tense, especially as you look at Daniel. And you notice Antoni give this almost, not quite angry, but unpleasant angry look towards Bea. Just briefly.
What did she
And
do?
Bea, you might have catch that as well.
That confuses me. I think there's a sort of break in my composure if I spot that, of uncertainty.
So you see that, Bea's reaction, Janina.
Okay, I will leave it for later to ask about.
Makes sense. After a brief pause, Katarzyna Chodkiewicz stands up, giving just the briefest look to Mr. Lubomirski, moves a couple of steps forward, and also looks at the kindred assembled before her. Slowly, with her eyes looking seemingly at every single one person gathered in the room before she starts speaking. I am also mourning Mr. Ray. His death has been a shock to us all, and understandably casts a shadow on our lives, making everything seem bleak and helpless. But we have already been through bleak nights and through loss, and yet we persevered. She pauses briefly, takes another look over the room. Mr. Lubomirski is an accomplished kindred, known for his cautiousness and centuries of experience. I am sure many of you think of him as someone who can bring you a sense of stability and normalcy. However, since the beginning of the war, our circumstances have not been normal. The tried and tested ways of the princes of the old times couldn't protect us. We needed to adapt, and we adapted. These modern nights are not the time for traditionalism, but for boldness. We are locked in an existential struggle with the Sabbat, and it is precisely because they are ascendant in our city that we cannot afford to be timid. I appreciate that, especially to the younger kindred, what we do must seem dangerous and terrifying. But the alternative is to let the Sabbat slowly devour us one by one until we are all destroyed. And she takes another pause, looks around, and she looks back at the primogen. I have heard Mr. Lubomirski's challenge, and I will abide by the decision of the Primogen Council. And she sits back in her seat. What are your thoughts on this situation? What's running through your heads?
I am nervous, and I don't know what the answer is. And I also don't know what the outcome is, and I think all of that is quite intimidating. On the one hand, I respect Mr. Lubomirski immensely, but because I've not seen him in the position of prince, I don't really know what that would look like. So I don't entirely know what the answer is here. I think I'm also confused about Antoni's reaction.
Janina, do you have thoughts? Given Zygmunt's relationship with Katerzyna.
Yes, I think because of Zygmunt's relationship with Katerzyna and the fact, I think that Mr. Lubomirski is rude. And I hope that Katerzyna is going to remain the prince, because that's what Zygmunt would want. So I think I stand with Katerzyna mainly because of Zygmunt and what he told me about her. Because I don't know Mr. Lubomirski that well, and I don't know, just seem rude. So, so that's my thoughts.
So you have a preference,
yes,
because of the preference of your late primogen.
Exactly.
Bea. Well, actually, as you both look at the primogen, you do see that Wolf is now very focused, very tense. And Mr. Cernowski is also focused, but more relaxed. He's observing what is happening, but there is no strong emotion there. Bea, you can't read Mr. Lubomirski.
I think as I'm sort of looking at the primogen, I suddenly have a feeling like this is about to go Mr. Lubomirski's way.
And you look to them and you see actually, actually you don't see that, but you do see that the prince, sorry, I made the rules beforehand.
No worries.
But you do see that the prince, as she sits down, she looks tense, some way preparing herself for something, some way still determined. And Mihail then speaks. I will ask the primogen to vote in order of seniority, stating whose claim they support. Of course, we will leave out Clan Ventrue on this occasion, as they are very involved in the current matter. And you see, Bea, that it's very studied. You can't really read him, but you see enough to know that he is very focused on his performance.
Right.
And he looks first to Incertum, who doesn't react. and is looking at the oil painting. And there is this moment of silence. And Mihail gives this a little bit surprised look. And he is primogen? At which Insertum looks to him with almost bored expression and says, Lady Chodkiewicz, of course. And then looks to Mr. Lubomirski and focuses their eyes on him and tells him, you should go and watch Alexanderplatz. You are needed there. And then they look at their pocket watch and look at the ceiling, looking very bored. Mihail then looks to Wolf, who immediately says, I support the claim of Prince Katarzyna Chodkiewicz. Then Mihail pauses and says, oh, I believe I am next. And gives a smile as if, oh, it's so awkward, but being very charming about it. I support the claim of Mr. Lubomirski. And he looks to Mr. Cernovsky, who straightens and says, Clan Tremere supports Mr. Lubomirski's claim. And then Mihail, and then everyone looks to Isidore, who you can both see only now realizes what's happening and is thinking.
Poor guy.
Yeah, deciding vote.
Any thoughts, in that moment, as there is this moment of very heavy silence, as Isidore's face is clearly deep in thought, as he glances towards
I think that
Katarzyna and Stanisław.
I would not want to be in his shoes. That's probably my only thought.
I don't think I know enough of the background to make too much, but I know that he's had a tense relationship with the prince, but I don't really know much beyond that. So, but I also know that his sire was close with her from rumors, I guess. So I'm actually not certain which way he's going to vote because I don't really know him that well. So I'm just kind of waiting almost with bated breath, I guess, because, yeah.
As is everyone in the room. After a moment of silence, Mr. Lubomirski leans in slightly, looking to Isidore, and says very softly, Count Grabowski, your people have been through so much already. Help me protect them. And you see that Isidore is considering. And you don't see falseness from Mr. Lubomirski.
Mm-hmm.
He does at least seem genuine.
Of course.
And Isidore is thinking. And just as Mr. Lubomirski is done speaking, Katarzyna Chodkiewicz just says, not even looking at Isidore, looking straight ahead, he will not avenge Zygmunt. And you see the spike of emotion in Isidore at that, but he kind of suppresses it. And he looks to Mr. Lubomirski again, and he looks to Daniel, and he looks to Nina. And then you see Janina is looking at him. He's thinking, and there is this moment of realization on his face, and there is this flash of anger that he controls, but it is very intense as he looks at her. His eyes dart to Mikhail briefly at that. And then he takes one last moment thinking and says, I support Katarzyna Chodkiewicz. And there is a hint of anger with his eyes still locked at Nina as he says that. You see, Bea, that Mikhail is surprised, and Mr. Cernowski is surprised, and you see Mikhail looks to Nina as well, and there is some anger and dissatisfaction there, but it's very brief.
That feels like a miscalculation.
And composing himself, Mikhail continues. Then, by the decision of the Primogen Council, Lady Katarzyna Chodkiewicz will remain the Prince of Warsaw. Mr. Lubomirski stands up and nods his head and says, I respect the decision, and of course, I will be stepping down as the Primogen of Clan Ventrue. To which Katarzyna looks eyes with him, and you see now there is an understanding there. The frustration is gone, and there is some amicable feeling, some respect, some regret in her. And she says, thank you, Stanisław. I am and will remain grateful for your service to this city. Mr. Lubomirski takes another look at Insertum, and then he bows to Katarzyna and steps down and moves to leave the room, walking past you. You see Cornelia moves to come after him, wanting to follow, but he just raises his hand and gestures for her to stay, and she stops and returns to her clan. As he leaves the room, do you have any feelings on what just happened?
Surprise. It's not a good surprise, I think.
And you, Janina?
Well, I'm glad that things remained unchanged.
Yes. Sorry, when I said not a good surprise, that was in relation to Zygmunt stepping down.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, not Zygmunt.
Yeah.
Mr. Lubomirski.
Still grieving.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, he stepped down in a manner of speaking. I'm not dissatisfied with the prince staying in power, but yeah, I'm concerned at the loss of Mr. Lubomirski.
You see that Cornelia, as she returns to her clan, there is some determination there, and she looks up at the council and at the prince and asks, who will then be nominated the new Ventrue Primogen? And there is just, actually I'm gonna make a roll and see how much you can tell. What's there? Yeah, you both can hear there is a hint of just emotion there. Like she's surprised, she's a bit angry, she's kind of shocked. She's not speaking very emotionally, but there is hint of that in her voice.
Mhm.
And Katarzyna turns to her, another Ventrue, and then looks to the Primogen Council and says, as is customary, as the eldest of our clan, I will hold the title of Primogen. I ask the Primogen Council for the vote. And you see, some people begin raising their hands. First, Wolf, almost immediately, and then Seratum following that, to vote their agreement. At which point, before some people can finish casting their votes, Isidore says, this is not what is customary. It's a dictatorial move to concentrate more power in your hands, and you know that. And where you do see irritation in Katarzyna at this moment, but also certain respect in how she looks at Isidore, as all the Primogen vote in favor, except him.
Okay.
Do you have thoughts on that?
I think at this point I'm just continuing to feel like this is like I'm watching a train crash. Yeah, this is just a lot.
And you, Janina?
I admire Isidore for being himself.
And then, having been elected also the new Ventrue Primogen, Katarzyna continues speaking. There is just one final matter that we must address. Zygmunt Ray was killed by the Sabbat, but he was also betrayed by one he trusted. Raising a hand against own blood is one of the gravest crimes in our community, and one that cannot be forgiven or granted leniency. For her treason, I declare a blood hunt on Nastya Vasilchenko. She is no longer considered of our blood. Her life and vita are forfeit, and a reward for the one who claims them. And then she pauses and continues, very matter-of-factly. Thank you all for coming. And then she turns to the Primogen Council, saying, there is much to discuss regarding the future of the city. Primogen, please join me shortly in my office.
I have would my self-control roll for touching Janina have remained familiar?
Yeah.
In which case I have taken Janina's hand and I'm holding it quite tightly.
I squeeze very hard and there's anger and fear inside of me, and I have a hard time controlling my emotions. There's fear for Nastya, but also like anger, and I don't know what to do.
I feel the first thing you need to do is to roll for self-control. And do you wish to spend willpower, not to frenzy at the Elysium?
No, I want fun.
Difficulty, I would say 8. Or actually 9.
I passed.
What do you have?
8 and 9, so
8 and 9. Okay. So you do control yourself. You are angry, but you don't frenzy.
Okay. I just look at Bear with expression of total fear and rage, and I just get up and I have to go.
Do you want company?
Give me a minute. Give me 10 minutes. I'm going to my room and then come.
Okay.
And I quickly leave and I just go to my room.
as she leaves, I sort of squeeze her hand briefly, but I don't stop her from leaving.
Right. And Janina, you leave. What are you doing? What's running through your head?
I'm trying to hold myself in control until I reach my room and will be alone. And then I will just throw a tantrum. I'm gonna smash the walls.
Are you smashing your room, basically? Smashing the furniture?
Yeah, and I'm like maybe trying not to scream, but I probably let some angry screams because I'm so angry and so scared for Nastya, and I don't know what to do. And I'm crying and I'm raging, trashing my whole room.
And you're doing that, overcome by emotions you can't control. Bea, you are left at the Elysium. You see that the prince is leaving. Is there anyone you're paying attention to? Are you stepping away?
I think I'm still quite taken aback by Antoni's reaction, and I'm looking at him quite intently.
You see that he looks at you as well. And we'll roll again perception and empathy, actually.
That is 4 successes.
4 successes. So you do see that it's not, there is some form of, it is not as raw as it was before, but there is some form of disappointment in his eyes as he looks to you. But he doesn't, yeah?
I approach him because I don't understand.
So you start approaching him, and he turns to you as you come up. Miss Wozniak.
Good evening, sir. I was wondering if I might have a word with you.
Of course.
He
doesn't move to step out.
I will ask him to step out then.
He looks to you.
And I'm looking at him dead in the eye because I'm just frustrated and I don't understand and I just want a damn answer.
And then he turns to Daniel and Clemens, who are next to him, and says, I will be back shortly. And then start following you.
Okay.
Out of the Elysium, clearly letting you take the lead.
Okay. In which case I find somewhere quiet. And then I just turn to him and I said, with all due respect, sir, I want to inquire what I have done.
He looks to you, and you see there is a certain irritation as you ask it in this way. But he doesn't really want to show it. And just says, Miss Wozniak, I am not aware of anything that you have done that would, well, warrant any action against you, if that is what you are worried about.
It is not.
You are going to have to be more specific.
Fine. You are angry and disappointed in me. And I want to know why. And I just look him straight in the eye. And there's a sort of hurt and confusion and frustration of my own. And I think also like a bit of sort of guilt and hurt, and just genuine confusion. And yeah, I'm upset that I've upset him.
Are you trying to be very honest and open with him?
Yes.
In that emotions? Then roll your charisma and persuasion.
Okay.
With difficulty 8.
Okay.
Do you wish to spend willpower?
Yes.
Then spend willpower and roll.
Ooh. With the willpower, that is 4 successes. I don't think polite's coming into this. Anyway.
No. But 4 successes is not a contested roll. It's
Okay.
absolutely a good roll. So he looks to you and then says, well, tell me then, Miss Wozniak, what am I supposed to think? You were clearly aware of Lucian's plans that threatened to destabilize the city, yet you told no one. You are known to be associated with Mr. Lubomirski, and you prevented Mr. Bartosz from intervening as well. You didn't speak to me.
Is this Mr. Bartosz? Oh, is that Daniel?
That's Daniel. That's Daniel.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. You didn't come to me to discuss the incident. You went quiet and cold and distant. You suddenly stopped showing interest in me once you've done the thing that destabilized the city. What conclusions am I supposed to draw from your involvement in all this and your sudden lack of interest in association with me?
Sir, you have been so busy. It's not a lack of interest, and I think sort of the frustration surrounding that whole situation sort of comes forth, and I think I just end up sort of explaining that the reason why I didn't tell anyone was that I was afraid for Janina, and I was overwhelmed trying to keep her safe from a number of different choices she was making. And I think I also slip in the middle of this and just say, with my memory problems as bad as they are, it was hard enough to remember one of these, let alone multiple. And then it seemed as though after I made this mistake, which I've been trying to pay for to try and make sure that it wasn't completely in vain for weeks now, or days, however long it's been, I thought that I don't know, I thought I disappointed you, and so I wasn't sure how to approach you on that, and then you've been busy with your new position, and it was, and then I've been busy with my own work. And I think sort of the emotion of my own work and the things I've been dealing with over the last few days are also sort of bubbling up in my throat. And then I sort of, and I promise you, I had no idea it was going to result in this.
And you see his face go softer. And you see that he believes you. As you had a very good roll. And he extends his hand and tries to take your hand, just gently touch it. Roll for self-control, difficulty 7.
4 successes.
Then you can let him do that.
I do.
And he says, Bea, I believe you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry as well. I'm so sorry.
I was wrong.
Well, I've also been wrong, so, you know. And I give him a smile where I'm trying to hold back sort of the beginning almost of tears. I've just been scared for everyone, really. And I also don't want to just sit on the sidelines and wait while other people get hurt and defend us.
From what I hear, you are doing your part.
I'm trying, but I promise that I didn't try to distance or anything. I'm sorry if I gave that impression. And I think my hand sort of squeezes around his hand. And I continue to hold it, even though there's a part of me that still finds physical touch and like somewhat uncomfortable. There's sort of this desperation to maintain it. And there's a kind of comfort from being him.
And he squeezes your hand back and just sits with you and looks to you. And he doesn't say anything, but he looks much softer.
And I sort of look down. I've had a note to myself to congratulate you for your position for a while and just never had an opportunity to.
Don't worry. It's not much to congratulate me on. I was hoping you would come to speak to me after the whole thing with Lucian.
I wanted to. It just... I don't know, I thought I saw something in your expression and then things just got darker. And it's been so hard to remember everything I'm trying to do. I'm not very good at maintaining social ties. They're hard.
Hey, it's all right now.
Thank you. And I just kind of look up into his face and find myself sort of staring into his eyes for a moment and just looking at him.
And he looks at you with a smile, still holding your hand.
And I'm also holding his.
And after a moment, he says, I'm afraid our lives are very busy, and I must return. But I'll remember to find you and speak with you. We should play cards again when we find a moment.
Yes. And as I'm speaking to him, sitting with him holding his hand, there's Ermina's voice creeps into the back of my head. If you should find the boy you like and marry him. And I'm suddenly a little taken aback mentally. And I find myself suddenly wanting to reach up and touch his face, but I don't know if that's appropriate. I don't know.
So he gives you a smile, and there is this bit of longing, like he wants to stay a bit longer on his face, and knows he needs to go.
In which case, I sort of lean forward and press my other palm on the side of his cheek and just say, "Stay safe."
And he raises his hand to touch your hair very gently. And he leans closer for a moment, almost as if he wanted to kiss you. But he pauses, he stops himself, he looks unsure for a moment.
And I think as he pauses, I think that's when things kind of click for me. My hand trails down his face. He's wearing a suit, right?
Yes.
And I just take him by the tie and pull him forward.
And he kisses you,
I kiss him
leaning
back.
over the table towards you. Meanwhile, Janina.
I'm so happy.
You are smashing up your room because the bloodhound has just been declared on your lover. And you are very strong right now, so you are actually able to, lift up a bed and throw it at the wall. And you've done that for some time. How are you feeling? What are you doing? You see the furniture around you is broken. The stuff that was there is lying all over. Some books that you had, some notes are flying around.
I'm probably not just sitting on the ground in all of this mess and just have a head in my hands and just crying because I don't know what to do, but this isn't gonna end well, and I have to protect Nastya no matter what. I mean, unless it would turn out that she really is evil and never loved me.
Do you have that thought?
Maybe like one, it crosses my mind, but I don't believe it. I have no reasons to think this right now, so it just crossed my mind quickly. But I'm just so desperate, and I know that if I will help her, I'll either die or I will never be able to be in Camarilla anymore, which means leaving Bea and Daniel and everyone else behind.
There is a knocking on the door. And then the door slightly opens.
Oh no.
And you see Daniel walk in.
I'll look up at him and just...
He looks around the room and the mess. And then steps in and closes the door.
Sorry for the mess. I didn't manage to tie it up.
I just kind of smiles. I came to check in on you, but I think I have my answer on how you're doing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
I know, well, I don't know how it feels. I know it must be so painful. It tears you to shreds on the inside.
Yeah.
I'm
Pretty
sorry
much.
for everything that happened.
Thank you. But no, it's how it is. And I'm trying not to let Daniel know what I'm really thinking. I want him to think that I accept this situation and I won't do anything stupid.
That sounds like a role for self-control and your subterfuge.
Okay.
Difficulty is 6. Do you wish
I
to
will
spend
spend,
willpower?
yeah, I will spend willpower on this. Just give me a moment. I need to find new paper.
No problem.
No. Okay. What was the difficulty?
6.
Okay, then 2 successes with the 1 that I have. So
Plus
2.
the willpower.
No, 1 and plus the willpower, so 2.
2. So that's a roll off.
Oh no.
But you keep your willpower, you know.
Okay. Okay. Again, 2 successes.
In which case, he gives you this look, kind of.
Or does the willpower still count?
Yeah, he still does. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, 3.
All right. So in that case, he leans in and he looks somewhat mostly convinced, but he still asks, "What are you thinking on this? Can I trust you not to?" Janina, I know you. And
Janina's not smiling, it's just me.
yeah. And listen, I don't want to accuse you of something or anything like that. I know you can be, well, like all of us. And he kind of looks at himself, emotional and uncontrollable, as my co-workers would say.
It's fine. I'm not going to do anything. I mean, I don't know what to do. Anyway, I just hope that no one will catch her.
He kind of seems to accept it, nods his head. But you know
But
that she might just be Sabat.
I know, but I don't know that. And she might be Sabat, but her feelings for me could still be real.
And he kind of closes his eyes for a moment, thinking, I suppose it's true. But Janina, please, don't go looking for her. Even if you're not planning right now, if just
I'm not.
even if her feelings for you are real, her associates might have very different opinions on the matter.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm not going to look for her. But if I find her, I will help her. I'm sorry. I will help her to run.
You just tell him that now, okay?
Well, I mean, I just tell him that,
Yeah.
if we meet, he can expect me like to just ignore her.
He looks kind of taken aback and terrified at that. Janina, you can't. They will kill you for this. I mean, I'll try to make it not so, but they can.
I know. Well,
Don't do that to me and Tony, everyone else who will be involved in looking for you next.
let's hope then that she hides well, that I will never see her again.
You see that he looks like he wants to say something. He almost wants to start arguing with you right now, but he takes a moment and he controls himself.
Oh, look at him controlling his emotions.
Let's hope for that for now.
I just need some time to just calm down.
I know.
And I look around, tidy this place up.
Fuck this place.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm staying here, so I have to. I don't want to live like this, you know.
I know.
I'll fix it up. At least it will give me something to do.
Jeff nods his head and, right, you do that. Do you want me to leave you then?
Well, it's up to you. Are you busy? You're a busy man now.
I am always a busy man now.
I know.
Hey, Isidore is the primogen.
Yeah, it looks like our Brujas really don't have a good time in Camarilla right now.
Well, I don't know. I think we do. I think it would be a sign we don't if they didn't nominate a primogen.
I know, I mean, like, personally more. But people who don't like responsibility get some.
Thanks
you.
to you. Well, yeah,
Or do you enjoy being busy?
I don't enjoy doing Camarilla's bidding. That was the one thing I never wanted to do. But fuck it, is the only thing that makes sense right now. We're done. We were done for a long time since we came to this hotel begging to be accepted back.
Well, I'm glad that at least you're finding some positives and staying busy. Anton is a good man, I guess.
Well, for a Ventrue, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that things didn't escalate more tonight.
Kind of thinks for a moment. Yeah, so am I. Although they're civilized people, or so they say.
What's going to happen now with Mr. Lubomirsky? Is he gonna just hang out in the hotel anyway, or is he just not going to be there anymore?
Janina, I have no clue. I think it's between him and the prince to discuss.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. That's way above my pay grade.
Are you getting paid?
I suppose, not in money, but in, well,
Okay.
like if you do something stupid, people are more likely to listen to me now than they would be if I wasn't doing what I'm doing.
Oh, I guess that's a win for me. And
Don't
I give him a
take it as an encouragement.
Smile. Don't worry, I'm just teasing you. Well, I hope Isidore is going to do as good as he can in his primogen position right now.
I'm sure he will.
Does it mean he's not part of the anarchs anymore?
Janina, there are no anarchs.
Okay.
And you see in his face this this kind of broken feeling. He's sounding very cynical, but you see the hurt. And when you ask, does Zoya know this? He just kind of, she does. That's why she's so pissed all the time.
Okay. How is she doing? Does she need anything? Does she need more blood?
She's better, but not fully all right. I think the worst has passed, but it's still, like, she's not deteriorating anymore.
That's good.
If you could get her more blood, that would be great.
I will try to see it done.
Right. Well, I think I need to go, but
Sure. Take care. Thank you for checking up on me.
of course, you take care, and
I will.
you can always come to me if you get weird ideas in your head.
I know. And I lean in and I give him a hug.
He hugs you back. Take care of yourself. I
You
know
too.
the next day or weeks are going to be awful.
I have you and Belle.
You do.
Okay. And I start to tidy up the place.
And he leaves. How do you feel after this conversation?
Well, I feel bad, if anything, if I'm going to do anything and I end up on a hunt list, and I feel really bad for Daniel. But I'm trying not to think of the worst for now. I just have to gather my thoughts about what to do about Nastya. And I guess that's probably occupying me while I'm cleaning up the place, trying to fix it.
Meanwhile, Bea, you kissed Antoni, and he looks to you with a smile, still holding your hand.
Smile back at him.
And he just smiles, and you see there's this awkwardness in his face for a moment, and his composure that he usually has is gone, and he looks more relaxed, but also really awkward.
I think I do let out this sort of slightly almost like awkward giggle and just sort of go, I don't really know what I'm doing, but that was nice.
It was. I think you're doing just fine. I feel awful for saying this, but I really need to return to my duties.
I understand. And I press a quick kiss to his cheek and then sit back and let go of his hand.
We should meet up later.
Yes.
I will be around the Elysium or in my room, and if, well, I'll come to find you if needed.
I'll be in my room, I take it. Do you know the number?
I do.
Then I should go and check on Janina, actually. I say, suddenly remembering.
He kind of has this thought in his head. It's like, yes, you should. If you need help with her, let me know as well.
Thank you.
I know she can be rash, and I wouldn't want her to get hurt.
I'll do what I can, but thank you.
I will see you later.
See you.
And he leaves. And how are you feeling?
Unusually euphoric. I think after he leaves, I just kind of stand there, sort of smiling to myself for a moment, and then sort of go, I need to go and see Janina, and sort of catch myself and walk very quickly in the direction of Janina's room, occasionally sort of putting a hand to my mouth, a little distracted.
And you arrive like that at Janina's room,
I will try and compose myself before I go in because, she's just had really awful news.
Then roll your self-control and subterfuge. Janina, you can preemptively roll your perception and empathy. You're on mute, Dolores. 1, okay. So you compose yourself just enough for distracted, emotional Janina not to notice.
Okay.
And as you knock, Janina, you hear knocking on the door as you are cleaning up the room.
Is this you, Bea?
It is, yes.
Come in.
I let myself in and
Don't be alarmed.
take in the surroundings. And then sort of without a word, I just come and start helping her pick things up. And just sort of leave the space in case she wants to talk, but I don't start the conversation in case she just needs time.
Okay, I will look at Bea and smile at her reassuringly. Thank you. I just needed to let out some emotions. And now I have to deal with the consequences because I don't want to live in mess.
Would my self-control roll for earlier still stand, or should I roll?
Yes, you rolled twice already tonight, so
okay.
Let's say it still stands.
Okay, in which case I sort of, whilst I'm still kind of crouched down picking up like a piece of broken lamp or whatever it is, I will just sort of reach over and put my hand on her shoulder and just say, but you don't have to do it alone.
And I smile. Thank you, Bea. I love you.
I love you, and I'm here for you.
Thank you. Has been an eventful day.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, do you know why Anthony was mad at you?
I think my composure does kind of shift at that point. Yes. We spoke.
Okay. I figured things out.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Okay.
And I'm looking quite awkward. He, due to some unfortunate coincidences and timings and whatnot, he assumed because of my involvement with Litzians.
Yeah, I know that.
And then I'd assumed that he wanted some space from me because he'd seemed disappointed, and so he thought I was intentionally distancing myself from him, and so he was assuming that I'd somehow been involved in trying to destabilize things for the prince, I think. So I assured him that was not what I had been doing.
Okay, so I'm glad you figured out your differences. Are you friends again?
I hope so.
Okay.
And there's again, I'm looking more awkward than before. I think my composure is just fucked at this point. And I'm sort of looking down to the side, like almost like a little bit worried about bringing it up right now after Janina's having a breakdown about her lover being blood hunted.
Is everything okay?
Yes. I'm just a little. We kissed.
I think at this, Janina, like first there's like shock and surprise, and then I just smile without even like realizing it because it's something like unexpected and it makes me happy at this moment. So I like there's genuine smile for a moment, and then I just like try to compose myself. Okay, that's great news. I'm so happy for you.
Thanks.
And I pat Belle on the head.
I don't
No,
know.
really.
Thank you.
Happy.
I just don't really know what I'm doing. I mean, I
Well,
know that I want to kiss
clearly-
him, but
clearly your body knows what you're doing, even without you even realizing it.
I suppose.
So are you to a thing now?
Is that how these things go? How do these things normally go?
Well, you kiss, and usually, if the other person feels the same, I mean, you don't. Maybe you can talk about what this means, but I think it's safe to assume that it's how things are now. You're his girl, but well, but I'm happy for you. At least something nice is happening right now. I'm glad. I'm really happy for you. You deserve someone to love you this way.
Are you okay?
I
I'm
am.
sorry.
No, I'm fine. I'm glad to be distracted by something positive.
Well, you always are a fan of gossip, I suppose. I just feel a bit clueless in this department.
Well, I'm sure he will clue you in on the stuff.
I think back to him looking about as awkward as I felt, and I'm like, I have the impression we both might be figuring this out.
Well, I can't wait to see the two of you being cute together.
And I'm suddenly sort of imagining the idea of kissing in Elysium, and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that idea. We'll. I
You'll
don't know.
figure things out.
Yes,
Don't worry about
sure.
it.
Sure.
But I'm glad it happened. You deserve something good to happen.
Thank you.
And Anthony is a good man, and I think the two of you fit together very nicely.
We're both very busy and very serious.
Yes.
Thank you.
With very high sense of duty.
Well,
I think Janina is smiling internally. I'm trying to compose myself, but internally I'm like smiling, imagining just Belle. It's just so cute.
Oh no, I'm now just imagining Elysium gossip about this. I don't need that.
Well, I mean, you'll see how things go, but you have to spend time with him.
Yes. I need to be better at actually maintaining social connections, because apparently I'm really bad at this.
Well, but look at you, getting a date.
I'm going to be honest, that wasn't quite what I intended to happen, but not that I'm upset about it, but
I'll see.
Anyway.
Good things will happen. And I continue cleaning my room.
Yeah, I turn quite.
But I
purposefully.
occasionally look at Belle, just look at her smile and continue, and try to keep my thoughts about her and pushing the horrible things that happened and will happen on the side.
And I think with that, we will end today's session.
So
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who's been watching. We really appreciate you being here. to continue the story. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And Bea finally getting to kiss somebody.
60 episodes.
That's how
I'm
long
so
it took.
proud.
We will be back in 2 weeks. So on the 7th of November, yes, 6:30 p.m. GMT, I think it will be at the time already.
Yes.
Yes, 6:30 p.m.
Fox.
GMT here on the Lamias channel. So we hope you will join us again in 2 weeks. And until then, stay well and good night.
Take care.
Bye.